Welcome to the Startup Grind.
It was 2000, and then I didn't exactly know what it meant, but in 2009 and 2009, I saw the exact same thing was happening. So like, venture capital, big name venture capitalists, they leave their firm and then join another startups, and then government pushes, and then big investment amounts, and then new technologies emerging, and those signs were, they came to me and then it struck me. So I thought this is the time that I have to leave from investment side to do my my own business. So I left, and then I started my own business. And then there were big market trend in social area. So Facebook became big, and then there was Zynga who used those social network to do their gaming distribution business. So I thought I saw there was opportunity for the game developers in Korea, because we had many good excellent game developers in Korea, and then we were kind of good at and knowledgeable in social distribution in Facebook, and that's how I developed my business in 2010.
Wow. So I mean, but was gaming a part of your investment area when you were actually at SoftBank? Is that how you actually started becoming knowledgeable about the area?
Well, yes, I was very interested in software area, like in internet and the telecommunications and gaming business. Those were my focus investment area. And then I had some experiences in semiconductors and hardwares and some films or entertainments, but those area I suck, so I didn't make a good investment. But I found out myself that I was kind of I had fun with investing in or figuring out how the internet business was working at the time, and then that's how I usually it's interesting. So when I see a financial statement in any company, I don't really look at the real assets or tangible assets. I look at the intangible assets and then the true value of the business behind the financial statements. So that's that's my interest.
Okay, so you just like games, and because you sucked at everything else, you actually started a company in gaming. So that's the summary of it. And now getting to your kind of experience running a gaming company. There are tons and tons of gaming companies that are going up at that time.
Right, you can find hundreds of good gaming developers in Korea. But I found out that there was a new market emerging. If let's say you have a good and decent game, and the question is how you can distribute your product. And then there was opportunity in social network, because in Facebook or Google, in App Store now, in 2010, you can get like millions of users almost for free, where the other developers spend like millions of dollars for marketing and getting distribution of their product through the publishers or in different regions. But when you do business in Facebook, your marketing cost converges to $0. So if you have experience, if you know how to do market in social network, then you can save like millions of dollars, and then that's the competitive advantage of your company. So that's how. So combining those game developments and then social marketing, that creates the value of the company.
But I guess you have to have, right?
Of course.
So you had that.
Yes.
And then, so how did you actually find the developers? A lot of the times, a lot of entrepreneurs now, including myself, I mean, finding great people to work with is really hard. In most cases, it's one of the hardest things to do. So when you were actually in the midst of actually hiring people, how did you end up doing and hiring people when you were actually coming outside of the gaming industry and not even as a developer into this role?
Well, I was lucky. I think I was just lucky to have a team, and I was actually a co-founder of the team. And then there were like 4 other good developers with the team. So with those 4 founders who happen to be game developers and engineers, I teamed up together and we started developing the games. And we had many failures too. before the game. I think we had developed many apps and dozens of apps, and then and we failed. And then we learned from those failures, and then we learned how to do the business in Facebook. And beyond those co-founders, I have recruited many people. We had like more than 20 people in the company at the time, but I still think that I'm not sure if I was the best. I thought now I'm thinking that I could have done a better job in recruiting more talents and then bring up more good people in the company. And there's no correct answer, but it's really key part. It is really important to have a good people around the company. And then I'm not saying that I had the best and AAA team with the RocketOz, but I always try to look at the value of the people and then care the people, because I think the people actually eventually make the good products. So.
Right, we hear that a lot, but it's really difficult to get people. But it seems like you also had developers that you co-founded with, who happen to have relationships with others who can recruit developers and designers to do this. Okay.
Yeah. So it's better to have your engineer and developer co-founder in your team. So that's I think that's the most efficient way to do it, I think.
And if you don't, then good luck. and in terms of your then the product was built, and you use the social to actually start marketing, and creating the connections to get more people to use your game, right?
Right. Yes.
And I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but you did exit at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you actually start kind of thinking, when did you start thinking about exiting, or because you were 0 users, you failed in many times, which I'll get to in just a little bit, but you were thinking about it at some point, right?
Right. Yes. So after 2010, through the in 2011, we hit more than 10 million users, and then 3 million daily active users at that time. And it was a big number at that time. We were the first social game developer who reached that number in 2011. Now, there are many other companies who are doing far better than that. And in 2012, if you remember what happened in Korea, was that we had a Kakao Games. So before 2012, I was good at web games. People played the social games on the Facebook web pages. But everything has changed since 2012, since when we had Kakao Games. And my company was a few months late. I'm saying like 6 months late to have that mobile game for Kakao. So we launched our first mobile game in December 2012, where the other games, if you remember, Anypang from the Sunday Toast and all other good social games in Korea, mobile social games, they have launched their games in summer 2012. And I was late, 6 months late, and then they changed a lot. So I was kind of late, and I was kind of worried about where my company was going in 2012 and 2013. So so that's what happened.
So I guess you were slightly late in I guess 6 months. Could be slightly or long, however you look at it.
It makes big changes, big differences.
And you were thinking about, and you did enter the mobile space. Mm-hmm. And when you realized that it was a little bit too late, then were you then at that time thinking, okay, maybe this is a time to sell?
Yes. But changing your company from one business to another business it takes a lot of energy. So, people may think that this is still a game company from where, whether it is web or mobile, but inside of talent, I have recruited. Those were very optimized for web games, not for mobile games. So it took lots of energy to change the company from web game developer to mobile game developer. So I managed somehow, but still I was thinking the market was changing dramatically in 2014, and I was kind of worried about, there are some markets that, we like hundreds of startups fight each other, compete each other. but eventually they will merge together. If you look at the bubbles, if you look at the bubbles, they're like first you have like thousands of bubbles. Then those bubbles group together and merge together, and then eventually you have like only a few bubbles remaining in your cup, right? So startups the same. So you have like very fierce competition, and then eventually those competitions merge into I don't know 3 or 4 or 5 top players in the market, and they are the winners. And I was kind of worried about that I'll be the loser of the market. So in late 2013, I thought that maybe in coming 1 or 2 years there will be reorganization, restructuring of the market, so that there will be only a few remaining winners in the market. Those are the ones who made IPOs for the past 2 years, like Sunday Toast, Dev Sisters, 433 in Korea. So now if you look at the market in Korea, there are only, I don't know, 10 or dozens of companies who are playing big in Korea. And then startups, game developer startups in Korea are having a hard time now. So in market-wise, I think I was okay. I made it right. So the selling is like, the M&A is the timing has to do lots of things, like timing.
So they will start, some of them will get offers to get bought out, some of them will get, and what is, you mentioned timing is critical, but
Right.
in sometimes like you will think, okay, it's just too early, or hey, if I actually stay too late, then am I going to miss the opportunity, right? So what were your criteria in thinking about these types of issues when you're evaluating, whether to sell your company or not?
Well, I think that's where the experience comes in. I think so. You have to have experiences to see what's going on, and then to forecast what's going to happen next a few months. So too early in general in startups means like 1 or 2 years early, but you have to be early like 3 or 6 months compared to your competitors to win the market. So if you are on time, then you lose. If you're late, you really lose. So
Okay.
yes.
So it's better to start earlier than on time or later if you're going to sell.
Right. So it's just one step ahead makes you a winner.
I see. And did you when we were talking to your investors, what was the type of kind of discussions that you would have with your investors and your board of directors on this?
Of course. So I told my investors, there were like 2 institutional investors, 2 VCs in my company. I told them this is time we have to take actions earlier than anyone else in Korea. We have to open up, because I expected there will be dozens of M&As coming years, and that's happening now actually since last year. So there are you see many M&As in Korea among the game developers now. So I kind of expected that that's happening. And then I told my investors, I remember it was like January 2014, late 2013, I think. So there will be huge more M&As coming in the market, and then I told we won't be the first one in the market to be acquired, and that's how I pitched to my investors.
I see. Wow, okay, that's interesting. So that also kind of brings down to your failures. I wanted to kind of touch on again. You mentioned that you went through multiple failures before you actually started becoming good at what you're doing. So can you talk about some of the pitfalls and some of the failures that you've had in the past?
In my life?
No, with specifically with RocketOz.
RocketOz,
Yeah.
okay. So RocketOz, before we developed our game, we made like dozens of, I remember like more than a dozen of apps, small apps. In 2010, we developed like online happy birthday card, and some doodles, or you make fun of your pictures and etc. You like when you post your profile pictures in Facebook, you play with it, like putting stickers or some making fun graphics. We have tested those features, some of them were specifically for the features or develop engineering issues with the Facebook. Some of them had a purpose on marketing. So we developed a certain apps with a certain features, like sending messages to your friend or tagging your friends. And then it was easier. It was at that time. It was very easy to recruit like tens of thousands of users in Southeast Asia through the Facebook. And then we tested out those users, and then we kind of look at monitoring what's working and then what was not working. So we learned how to make it happen, how to make it work, and then we applied those lessons when we developed our first game. Not first game. When we applied those lessons to our final products. So that's how we learned. We tracked, like for example, if we send out messages to your friends, then we kind of have an idea how many friends are returning back to the app. So let's say send out like 100 messages, and then some of them will eventually come back to the app, right? And then we kind of have that in numbers. So
how many?
it was like 5 years ago. So. And I'm sorry that I have to confess that we have developed some spam apps. So.
Nice. So if you want to succeed, make sure you create a spam app first, test it out, and then learn from it and create the final product.
I don't recommend it.
Yeah, just kidding. All right, great. And then now, kind of going back to your ability to foresee like the market trend and then being able to go get in front of the market and being the first one to be sold in this kind of series of acquisitions that were made. I'm sure your VC experience kind of also helped you see that as well.
Yes, right. VC experience helped me a lot in many ways. Those experiences gave me how to look at the market trend, so that I can be like one step ahead, as I told you earlier. So I see it's like you experience many things in fast forward. So it developed my market watch skills a lot, and then it developed how I negotiate with multiple players or conflicted players in the market that I play with. So I say it was very excellent experience for me.
So you mentioned that you were investing in the internet space, software space, and whatnot. Were there particular investments that you've made investments in and become extremely wildly successful with those too?
Yes, I remember that. In 2006, I've invested in a company called Tether Company. Tether and Company was a blog company, and then that company got sold to Google in 2008. So and it was the first acquisition of the Google that they've acquired in Korea, and that's still remaining the only one so far. So that's a big investment that I made, and I failed in many investments in semiconductors.
That's not good. Okay. And then just to kind of wind back a little bit more, I wanted to also get your thoughts on, you've actually worked as an entrepreneur, or not as an entrepreneur, but I guess at a startup in the US as well.
Yes.
And then also in Korea. Mm-hmm. What are some of the differences that you saw that were kind of wildly different, or something that were actually similar that you could have learned from?
Well, there's time differences. Those U.S. Silicon Valley startup that I worked with was back in early 2000, and then the startups that I had in Korea was like in 2010 and 2014 time period. So there are certain time differences, I think. But in general, I think those startups in U.S. Or Silicon Valley, they think more in bigger picture, I think, and they know how to make their business bigger and then more persuasive. They don't focus on the particular products, but they focus on more long-term strategy. For example, the Bitfund company that I worked with in Silicon Valley. It was a small startup. I joined as a early member, like I don't know, in between 11th or 19th. I think I was kind of that. And we grew to 120. And then the first thing we have done was that we have patents. We had many patents, about, I remember, 120 patents. And those ones are very important ones, hard ones to get. And then the company made that particular technology to become a standard, IEEE standard. We have developed, now it's called FOTA standard. It's a firmware update over the air technology. And then we made it to the international standards. And then it took like 3 or 4 years to do that. And then we had no revenue until then. And then everything, the magic happened. After that, we had the 120 patents, and then we have selected as our international standards. And then within 1 or 2 years, and we have licensed our technology to bigger companies like the mobile manufacturers and carriers.
HP.
Yes.
Which we just realized that we kind of also linked in that way too, because I think when I was at HP, we bought this company called Bitfund.
Right. Yes.
This is a very interesting combination of a series of events that you've had. And now in Korea, if you were actually kind of looking at starting a new company again in Korea, what would be some of the new areas that you would think about starting again in looking at the trends of things going on these days?
Well, yes.
Which one would you sell out of?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, so I don't want to pick a particular industry or technology. But there are good talents in Korea, very good engineers and very good creators and designers and marketers in Korea. And utilizing those talents, I think we can develop the best of world startup or technology in Korea. One thing we are missing is the diversity. So we need more diversified talents outside of Korea in many different fields, like either design, marketing, or arts, or I don't know, maybe psychology or whatever. So we need to bring those talents and experience from all of the world and then mix it together in Korea to create more innovations and then more advanced technologies. So that's something we are missing. And then the other thing on diversity is that still I'm keep talking about the women entrepreneurs. So we need to lower the barriers for those women entrepreneurs. Without women involvement in the economic growth, we cannot make it really happen in Korea.
I agree. Yeah. Just Mango Plate actually has more women, actually like 60 or 70% women versus 30%, 40% men. I don't know the stats anymore, but that's how it is, and that's just as important as well.
Right.
I totally agree. Yeah, and I wanted to I'm getting signals to go into Q&A, and I wanted to just ask one last question about. Do you have any last parting kind of comments or anything for the entrepreneurs in the room?
Well, I think June started this talk with my CV, but I made a big failures, many big failures. Before Bitfund, I was one of the employees who laid off from the company. So I graduated from Stanford, and then I joined a company called Stanford, and then 9 months later, I was laid off. And then that was very harsh experience for me. And then that time I really thought about what's the what the entrepreneurship means, and then what does company mean to me, and what does life mean to me. And then so yeah, before then I had many failures of course in my college years too. But starting with my career life. As a poor layoff employee, I learned a lot, and then there's the time I really deeply thought about entrepreneurship, and then how I live my life. So you have to be a leader of your life, and that's actually what the entrepreneurship means. I'm not talking about having your business or how to make money and how to make a big success, and being a true leader of the life. And I think that's really true entrepreneurship means.
So do what you like, and really think hard about whether you want to be involved in entrepreneurship.
But I try to put this way. Find your mission, and then solve the. Find your mission. What problems that you want to solve in the community, and then having a good solution of the problem means that you make a good big success.
Q&A. We have 2 questions, but we'll get you the mic. Hold on a second.
Hi, just wanted to ask what industry or sector you think is the most exciting these days?
Well, again, I'm not a fortune teller. I might be wrong in 3 years, but nowadays I'm very interested in IoTs and sensors. Those technologies will make very big differences in coming years, I think. Either in many industry verticals like manufacturing, shipbuilding, agriculture, and Medicare, healthcare. Those IoTs and sensor technologies combining with those existing vertical industries will change everything. So that's something that I'm looking at very interesting.
Thank you.
Obviously, you've been in Silicon Valley and you experienced the dot-com bubble.
Yes.
There's a lot of discussion about bubble forming within tech industry, that it may explode anytime soon. So do you foresee such a bubble like early 2000 in this round of technological innovation, or you think that this bubble is not tangible a reality?
Well, yes. It's hard to say, definitely, but I think there could be. So this is how I see. So if you look at the bubbles, then it starts with the fundraisings. So in Korea, in particular, the venture capitalists has closed their funds the highest historic ever. Let's say alone they closed the fund more than $2 billion in Korea. That's historic high in Korea for the last decades. Having those funds means that you have to really look for the startups to invest, right? And then there are not many startups in Korea. We have seen many startups coming up these days, but still you have to those investors has to compete with against others. So the valuation of the startups goes up, and that's where the bubble started. So if some of the startups, those startups started to go bankrupt, then there's a bad signal for the market. And then investors, the LPs of those venture capital funds, started kind of worried about it. And then the market may crash. So that's how the bubble crashes. But on brighter side, I think the investors are not dumb. So they don't make the same mistake that they had 12 years ago. So they'll be wise enough, and I hope they'll be. So they'll be wise enough, not to make bubbles, and then try to make wise investments and efficient investments, and that's something that I'm hoping for.
You asked the next question. I totally messed up. I have gifts for people who ask questions. So yeah. So who asked the first question? All right. So this is for Google. Thank you, Google.
Thank
Yeah.
what is it?
Oh, I should probably show you. Most good.
Now he wants it.
There you go. Who's the second? Oh, there you go. Yeah. That's a nice one. Yeah. Well, we got 2 of those, and then the next one, before the next one comes up, I'll show you. That's right. It's a bag. All right, who asked the third question? Okay, there you go. You get this bag. Yeah, you can be cool with that.
Just another question regarding your first answer. So, do you think IoT is really a hot field for startups anymore? Because like big companies like Google and Samsung are already doing a lot of activities there. So your competitors are already like the very big players, and a lot of acquisitions already happened. Do you think IoT has still some kind of subfields that are hot or like good to make a startup in?
Well, yes, I do. IoT is very big field, I think, in general. So there will be many different fields to play with, from the hardware manufacturing sensors to the applications and to the services. So I think that will create a big ecosystem around the IoT, and there will be certainly chances for these small startups as well.
All right. Okay. First of all, thanks so much for your time and sharing your experience with us here today. And I have 2 questions for you. First one, as you mentioned earlier, finding mission for yourself is really important. And I would like to know what is your definition of your mission. And second question is, you study in Silicon Valley area, and you're probably working in Korea for a long time. And is there any plan that you do see yourself back in Silicon Valley working somewhere else? So those are the 2 questions.
Going back to Silicon Valley again?
Yep. Is there any chance for you to going back to Silicon Valley?
Google isn't known for you, just FYI.
I'm going to San Francisco next week. So, but I'm joking around. So finding mission. I don't. I'm just starting finding my life's mission. I just realized that be a leader of my my life, and then do what I like. And I found out that I like to help other startups, other business to grow. And probably if I were good at helping myself, then I'll be end up being billionaires now. I'm not. I think
Sure, he did well.
Yes. So working with other good folks in startup, if you have like dozens of teammates or maybe 100, working in small startup, that makes me really happy. And then whatever voices I have or whatever opinions that I tell to my colleagues, and that counts a certain value to the company. So for example, if I working for a big company, maybe my voice would be very limited, and then maybe it doesn't really account for to making a product. But in small startup, then if I make any decision, that makes big changes, and I really enjoy that. And that could end up some bad results or some good ones. But either way, I really like to enjoy that, and helping other startups. Now I have like I don't know 10 years or 12 of years experiences, and then from those experiences, maybe I just want to help others so that they don't make another mistakes or whatever. So that's what I enjoy, or that's something that my mission. And I don't really care where I live or where I work, either in US or Korea, Seoul, or China or wherever. I just want to see something new and meet other people who wish to change the world. So I like to travel actually. So.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andrew, and I actually work with, or am a part of a crowdfunding consulting company.
Okay.
As a former VC, entrepreneur now, the head of Campus Seoul. What are your thoughts on, I guess, crowdfunding nowadays as it is in the current market versus the traditional VC funding?
Well, I think that's a big area. Crowdfunding has been existing for a long time, for all thousands of years of human history. What makes difference nowadays is that using the technology, it makes easier to recruit crowds, actually. So before then, we had in analog, like 50 years ago or 100 years ago, we had like billboards on the street and then try to recruit other funders or investors to make something. Now we have technology, mobile phones, internet, web page. It's far easier to recruit people, and that actually reduces the cost of recruiting investors, and that's how we describe crowdfunding nowadays. And I think that's very revolutionary. That makes changes actually. That helps in many countries, many communities, or many manufacturers who has idea to change the world. So I think that's the future of how we how we raise funds from the crowd. So I see in good ways.
Okay. One more question, but I got no more prizes, man.
Yeah, it's all good. My question, I had two questions. The first one is, technology has evolved in periods of 10 years from PC to web and then social or mobile. What do you think will be the next step or next step in like the next big thing in terms of technological development or milestone? And the second question was, if you see all the big companies that has made their way through their startup ages and has made thus far, they never actually like use any like accelerating programs or any like they got like significant VC fundings, but they weren't exactly looking for a lot of accelerating programs. Like, what do you think the significance? Where do you think the significance of these accelerating programs are coming from?
Well, answering two questions. Well, first one, technology. So it's become really fast forward. It changes really fast nowadays. It's very hard. It makes me very hard to forecast what's going to be next big thing. 5 years ago, we didn't have a Kakao, we didn't have a Line, and in 5 years now, everything has changed. Those technologies changed the way how people talk or communicate. 3 years ago, we didn't have, drones, or not 3 years ago, nobody knew like 10 years ago we would have like Airbnb or Uber or drones or fintech nowadays. So it's really hard to predict what's going to be the next big thing. The thing is, for sure, is that we need to make a platform to keep those innovations happening in coming years. So that's the important part. And I think those technologies will will enable those innovations. I'm a true believer of the open source and then no copyright. It's kind of dangerous to say that. But if you look at the history, innovations comes when there are more copies or copiers every day. So if we open up those informations, then innovation happens. That's what I believe. And it is not a Google's official opinion, but it's my just personal.
Sure. Got it on tape.
Just my personal opinion about the information IP, and then I'm just saying that we have to keep our platform to make those innovations happen. So that's the important part. And what was the second one?
I do not have a mic, but it was about accelerating programs.
Oh,
Is it worth it? Basically, is that right?
Well, it's kind of. I was asking about more of the significance or like the value in which these accelerating programs have?
Well, I see many big companies like not only Google but other big companies also have accelerating programs or venture investment programs as well. And I see more people. I want to see more big companies do the same thing to make those innovations happening. And it is worth for us because right now we have less than 400 million users who has access to the internet now worldwide, where we have more than 1 billion population worldwide. We have still a long way to go to connect those people through the internet. And I believe that the reason, one of the reasons why we are doing this in Campus Seoul is that we want to have more startups to have more internet users, more mobile users in the world, so that we can provide, we can benefit our technology to those other people who has access to the internet. So that's why we are doing this.
All right, we have time for one more question. All right.
All right, thank you very
Maybe two, depending on how many you go through. But one question per person from now on.
All right, then I'll cut my question in half. I know you're against the clock right now.
Yeah.
I really appreciate how you mentioned that what we have to do is pool all the talents around the world together, excuse me, to create, to cultivate an environment of creativity and innovation, which I absolutely agree with. I think a major problem in Korea with Korean corporations, however, is that two things. One is, quite frankly, the ego of the innovators actually after a certain point in their life. And secondly is the lack of vision from the leaders to accept or cultivate again an environment of creativity. And I'm wondering, so now, if I cut my question in half, is what do you do, especially in a place like Google Campus, which I think is great, being in here the last 2 days, observing what you do here. How do you cultivate an environment of creativity and innovation for your employees and all the members you have?
Well, I think you pointed out correctly the culture of the Korean businesses. And I think those small startups in Seoul recently, I see they are more open to more diversified people in, I don't know, countries, nationalities, or race, or gender, or whatever. They are pretty much open to include those diversity people. Big companies, those leaders in big companies in Korea, I think they've done a tremendous job for the past 30 years to develop our economy in Korea. But if we want to continue this growth in Korea, we need to open to more foreign entrepreneurs, foreign leaders, foreign employees to bring here and then to make our company or our economy more efficient. And that's the way how we can go global. I'm saying that we all want our Korean startups to go global and then do business globally. And I don't understand why we cannot, how we can do this without, accepting those foreign entrepreneurs or global leaders in Korea. We have to embrace, we have to include them in Korean community to make ourselves more global. So does it make sense? So yeah, that's something I want to point out.
Okay, last question. All right, Mark. We'll be here afterwards too, just FYI.
Thank you very much. Hi, I work in digital marketing company and Digital Dime. This time we make our company's in-house venture. The venture name is Global Business Division. Fortunately, this time our in-house ventures O2 mobile app business is good. Monthly sales is $10,000. But our company's marketing budget is short just this time. If you're fascinating our app, you will invest to our app's marketing budget or already to venture capital or already to co-marketing company. Looks like Mango Plan and so on.
Well, I can answer very short, I think. So basically, you have limited resources in your company. and you're complaining. Many startup people, they're complaining about, they don't have resources, they don't have money, and then we need to get more money to do marketing or developments. And I don't think they will change in 10 years. Let's say you have like $1 billion revenue. Still those leaders in the company, $1 billion revenue company, I think he will still need more resources, more people, more money, etc. So, given that you have limited resources, you have to just thrive. You have to, make ways. You have to be more creative to get resources and then spend those resources more efficiently. Like I said, in RocketOz era, we didn't have money, and that was our, competitive advantage because we had to find out our ways how to do, social marketing business with no money. So we spent less than $100 per month at that time. So it's not like $10,000 to recruit 100,000 users. So you have to find your creative way to do the business. So it's not about the money or whatever. So, thank you very much.
Right. All right. So I think we're actually against our hour, but don't worry, we still have time afterwards, and now with beer in the back. So remember what I said about the beer. So I don't want anything left over here. And again, I just want to everyone please put your hands together for Jeffrey. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks guys. Yeah, this is the end of the fireside, and then we'll go into the networking again. Thanks, bro.